welcome to another yoga short with me, Anne. Today we're going to explore Warrior 2, Virabhadrasana 2, which is a common yoga pose that you will find in many yoga classes, especially in Hatha classes, the style of yoga that I teach. So I will, for the month of July, break down various poses, show you alternatives, modifications for the poses, and these are to help make the poses more accessible for you. There's a lot of ways to do these poses, but I'm going to show variations that can help you with the pose if something's going on in your body, whether it's today or at any time. And always know that you honor your body no matter what, and sometimes it means you don't do the pose, and so that's always an option. So we'll start with Warrior 2, the typical way that you would set up. I'll talk about things that are going on in your body, alignment that you want to have, some variations with your arms, the way your head and neck turn, and then we'll move on to some other variations of Warrior 2. So typically when I teach, I have my students use the long width of their mat. And you step your feet wide. And wide is different for everybody. Some people say if you extend your arms out, your feet should be right under where your hands are. If I did that, it would be way too far of a stance for me. So you have to find what's comfortable. Our bodies are not necessarily proportioned, mine is not. And so our arms and legs may be in very different places, and our torso may be long or short for our bodies, or you may just have everything proportioned. So everyone's different. So you have to find the stance that works for you, and you can make adjustments with that as you come into the pose. Let's go to the right side first. So rotate your right foot and leg 90 degrees. It's got to turn that whole way. If you have it turned in, your knee is not going to be in a good safe spot. So make sure you turn it the 90 degrees. Your back heel, I teach it with your toes in slightly and your heel out a little bit, about an inch. Some teachers will teach it differently. This gives you a little rotation in your hips. You start to bend your front knee. So it's really easy for this knee to fall in or for it to go too far forward. So you want to make sure that it's right over your heel and ankle. There's a few ways that you can figure that out. I'm wearing tight yoga pants, so it's easy to see my big toe. Right now I cannot see my big toe, and that means that my knee is too far forward. If you have baggy pants on, it might be harder to tell, so you can always pull your pant leg up to look. It's okay if your knee is behind your ankle and heel, just not forward of it. So if it is forward, like if your stance is too short, then you widen it, or you just bring your knee back so that it's right above your heel. There might be a reason why you have to have a shorter stance, something going on in that other leg, that you can't have that real long length going on. You can still have the length, the lift in a shorter stance. So you find the best spot for you. So my knee is bent, not forward of my heel or ankle, and then this can happen. It's really easy for your knee to fall in. You want to externally rotate your hip. So you can imagine aiming your knee toward your second and third toe. So your thighs got to be really active here. And then this back leg, we don't forget about the back leg. So you press through all four corners of your back foot, all four corners of your front foot. So your back leg is really strong and really straight. Because we have our toes slightly turned in, we've got a little rotation in our hips. Our hips are not square to the long edge of our mat. If they were, there goes my knee falling in. So we've got to have that little bit of rotation. Then you bring your hands to your mid-ribs and you turn your upper belly and chest toward the long edge of your mat. And then from here, you can imagine reaching your arms out, reaching through your fingertips. So you're reaching through the lower tips of your shoulder blades. Typical Warrior 2, your gaze is over your front middle finger. But check in, maybe you want to have your gaze the same direction as your heart, or looking at your backhand. And you may want to look at your backhand and arm. Sometimes it's doing weird things. So see if you can have that nice reach. You check in that your shoulders are above your hips. It's really easy to be like this in this pose, or even sometimes too far behind. So you've got to have that good alignment. So pressing through your feet, you feel the lift through your inner seams to your core. Helps to open your heart, reach your arms out. And you can even imagine reaching the crown of your head toward the ceiling. Variations of your arms. So sometimes shoulders don't allow this position. Hands at your hips, cactus arms, hands at your heart. I call this baby broken wing. So maybe just one arm needs that attention. Bring your arms down, straighten your front leg, parallel your feet, And let's go to the second side. Rotating your left foot and leg 90 degrees. Make sure it turns that whole way. Kick your back heel back about an inch, toes in just a little bit. Bend your front knee, so aim it toward the second and third toe. So you're almost like you're trying to move it away from your midline so it doesn't fall in. The longer we hold this pose, the more we got to check in with that knee. Upper belly and chest, strong arms. You decide where your gaze goes. For me, on this side, this shoulder bothers me when it's the back arm. So I typically come here, but I could be here, here, any variation. And then I could even be here, you know, whatever you want to do for your arms. And breathe. All right, bring your arms down, straighten your front leg, parallel your feet, and step your feet back together into our Tadasana mountain pose. So some variations that I'll show you today are with the wall, with a block. So I understand some people don't have a yoga block. So you just do your best with what you have. A chair, and in my downward facing dog variation, I said that you could use a bed, a dresser, a coffee table. For this, you need some sort of chair. A coffee table would probably work. The other options won't work because we're actually going to sit on the chair. We're going to use it differently than the downward facing dog prop. So these are just options. I have an ottoman in this room. The ottoman could work as well as long as it's not too low. So we're going to move to the wall. And your back body will be up against the wall. So you want to feel your butt, your shoulders against the wall. So you have that support. So especially if you're struggling with balance. And the same idea, you step your feet wide, you rotate one of your feet forward. So I'm not going to do both sides for most of the variations. I might for a few. And then again, the same idea, sending your knee toward your second and third toe. And then it's easier to turn your upper belly and chest because you can feel your shoulders on the wall. Your butt is up against the wall. You reach out. And depending on your wall, you may have something in front of you that prevents you from having your arms out at shoulder height, reaching through your fingertips. Again, all the options for your head and neck. Make sure it feels comfortable. That's what's most important. All right, bring your arms down, straighten your front leg, parallel your feet. If you want to try the other side, you're welcome to try the other side. I'll just do it ever so briefly. I don't typically practice it this way, so it's kind of fun to work on the variations. I've done this before. Straighten your front leg, parallel your feet, step your feet together. So the next variation will be with a block. So if you don't have a block, that's okay. This is actually going to help us because we're going to have it right below the knee, and you're going to press your shin into the block, and it's going to help you to have the external rotation to have your knee in a good safe spot. It can't go forward of your heel and ankle. Let's see. Okay. So I'm going to take the block, and you have to maneuver a little bit, right? Because you want the block to press into the wall. So you're going to check in with your foot, and then awkwardly step that back foot back. So I'm pressing right under my knee, so I do not have the block on my knee. It's right at my shin. I'm pressing through my shin into the block because I don't want the block to fall down. So my knee is right over my heel, and I've got nice external rotation here. And then I turn my upper belly and chest. And right now my butt happens to be against the wall, so that's an option. But maybe you don't have a setup like that. So you can decide. If you have a setup like that, you could totally use that. My stance is a little short. I'd like my back leg a little longer, but this is more about the front leg. We still don't want to forget about the back leg, but this is to keep that feeling, that sensation in your body, to know that you're in a good safe spot. And then your front arm is going to hit the wall. So maybe just do the back one, or you can do one of the variations of your hands. And then you hold on to the block as you straighten your front leg and parallel your feet. And then if you wanted to try the second side, you're welcome to try the second side. I'm going to set my block down, get a sip of water. This is where we're going to use the chair. So chair or coffee table would work, or maybe even an ottoman. So the goal here is that the front leg, the one that's bent, is going to be supported by the chair. So there's a little maneuvering that happens. It's a little awkward, but it's the same idea. I'm going to adjust my chair a little bit so I can extend through my back leg. My front thigh is on the chair. I check in that I still have that 90-degree angle. I'm pressing through all four corners, upper belly and chest, reaching out through my arms. So I'm having the same sensation. There's just not as much work in my legs, and it feels different. So maybe just standing up is not an option, or you just want to try a variation. Again, same thing, the head and neck, the arms. And I hold on to the chair as I kind of bring myself back to seated. I'm going to move my chair a little over to the side so I have enough room for my other leg. So I kind of start to move my back leg behind me. It's going to be really long and straight. My toes are slightly turned in, my heel out. And then I turn that front foot and leg 90 degrees. I've got my thigh on the chair. Little maneuvering has to happen. And you probably will have a longer stance here than you would standing up. So that's something to explore. Turn your upper belly and chest from your shoulder blades, lower tips of your shoulder blades. Reach your arms out or come into some variation. You can still check in with the stacking of your hips and your shoulders. You can decide on your gaze. And this one, you can really work the back leg. The front leg's working, but the back leg gets that long extension to feel length, to feel strong. All right, bring your hands to your chair to help maneuver you back. Coming back to a seated Tadasana mountain pose. All right, I'm going to move my chair and I'm going to come down onto my mat and have a seat. So our last variation that I'm going to teach, of course there's many variations. So this is actually another pose called Janu Shirsasana. So start with your legs out in front and then move your left foot and leg to the side and you're going to bend your right knee. And basically the sole of your foot will be against your thigh, but if you want to have your foot out more like a warrior two, you can. If this is bothersome and you have a block, you could support your knee or put a rolled up blanket or even a pillow under your knee as an option. So you're really strong here, really reaching through that extended leg. And you face forward here. This is a variation of this pose. There's many ways to do this pose, different activities, but we're doing it as if it were a seated warrior two. And then if you'd like, you can reach out, you can turn, you can have the variations of your arms. So you can still be strong in your legs, a lift in your belly, your shoulders above your hips. Still a very strong pose. And then let's come back to have both legs out long, maybe give them a little wiggle, jiggle. Let's go to the second side. Rotating your right foot and leg off to the side, not rotating, just sliding it over. And then bending your left knee, you decide if your foot's right against your thigh or make some variation. And I'm sitting on the edge of a blanket to help me create that lift. Reaching through my extended leg. This foot is active. So it means I'm pressing either through the heel or the ball of the foot for both feet. You can reach up. You can be more your typical warrior two arms. Gaze. Strong pose. And then let's bring the legs out long, give them a little wiggle, jiggle. So I'm going to come back and set up warrior two one more time in the typical way that you would set up warrior two. You're welcome to follow along or use any of the variations that I just taught. So typically we start in Tadasana or mountain pose, checking in with all four corners of our feet. That helps create a lift in the belly and opening of the heart. Your shoulders are above your hips. The crown of your head reaches toward the ceiling. Check in with your chin that it's parallel to the floor. You're pressing the base of your skull away. A lot of stuff. And then step your feet wide. Rotate your right foot and leg 90 degrees. Kick your back heel back about an inch. Toes slightly in. Bend your knee, not going forward of your ankle. Aiming toward your second and third toe. Bring your hands to your mid-ribs and turn your upper belly and chest toward the long edge of your mat. From there, reach your arms up, shoulder height, reach through your fingertips, keep that lift, keep that press through the feet, the lift through your belly. Decide where your gaze goes. If you're going to do an arm variation, keep your breath flowing. Every once in a while, glance down at that knee to see what's going on. Whew. And just to try something different, let's reach our arms up, straighten your front leg, parallel your feet, bring your arms down, rotate your left foot and leg 90 degrees, kick your back heel back, bend your front knee, check in, right over the heel, not falling in, upper belly and chest, reach your arms out, decide where your gaze goes, decide if you adjust your arms. I needed to move my foot a little bit, have a longer stance. Make sure your breath is flowing, your shoulders are above your hips. Nice. Inhale your arms up, straighten your front leg, parallel your feet, exhale your arms down, step your feet back together into mountain pose. So thank you so much for taking time to do another yoga short with me of Warrior 2. Next week we will work on another pose. If you have comments, suggestions, questions, comment below, email me at therealgofitgirl@gmail.com. You can find me on Facebook and Twitter at GoFitGirl and Instagram as TheRealGoFitGirl. I hope you have a great day and I hope to practice with you again soon. Thanks.